Hello, brothers and sisters. This is Brother Lewis coming to you at the beginning of week 3. Let's get off on the right foot. Let's start with a spiritual thought, and then I'll move on to what we got going on for the rest of the week. This week's reading was in 2 Corinthians 8 through 13. And what really hit me was really this counsel from President Uchtdorf about keeping the gospel simple, really, right? And was it up here as well? Yeah. So as part of your examination, you might also ponder the phrase, the simplicity that is in Christ, right? That's what comes out in 2 Corinthians 11:13. And when you go into this, I read this, it works wonderfully. A conference talk from President Uchtdorf at that time in 2015. It was quite interesting. You know, when you boil everything down, everything we do day in and day out, it is quite simple. And sometimes we put too many things around it. We add, programs, we add cultural concepts, we add preferences to how things should be done. But in the end, the gospel is pretty simple. It's a gospel of love and peace. And when we practice that day in and day out, and we try our best to be loving and kind and generous and patient, then we become better, more and more like Christ. And so I think that applies not only to the gospel principles, it applies to learning principles, it applies to working principles. It just applies in life in general. You know, the whole concept of keep it simple, stupid. KISS, the KISS concept. It's truly remarkable how things can be overly complicated. I do that, I know, on a regular basis. I'll start out a project and it becomes super complicated, but if I boil it down to just some simple practices and some simple steps, then it's easily manageable and I can get through it. Life is the same, right? It's not that difficult. We wake up, we practice the gospel principles, we eat, we go to bed, and we do it over again, over and over and over. And we'll probably be doing this for an eternity, always improving where we stand in our practice of the gospel. So anyway, with that in mind, let's think about how do we keep the learning for accounting 201 simple. This is, what you're learning in accounting 201 is the basic principles of how the accounting profession. And it is a gateway course, as I like to think of it. People come into this course wondering, do I want to do accounting for the long term or not? Sometimes you do it because it's a requirement, right? And there's no way of getting around it. But accounting 201 traditionally has always been you either are cutting it or you don't. And if you cut it, great, you have a chance of doing well in accounting. And if you don't, then it's obviously not the thing you should be doing. But fundamentally, there's some core principles that you're learning in these first couple of weeks, probably up to week about 5. And then you'll start to practice those principles on actual day-to-day processing of transactions, sales, revenue, and things of that nature. So make sure that during these couple of weeks that you're taking the time to understand the principles. This is the simplicity of of accounting: debits and credits, accounts, double entry accounting, matching principles. These are some of the very core concepts of accounting. And so don't skim over it. You will pay for it in the long run. So when we look at what we're doing this upcoming week, it's